Hi everybody, it's Gina, and I am actually at the entrance to my backyard. And today what we're going to talk about is, can food just grow? Can food just grow in your yard without you having to plant it? And you'll understand the question better when I give you a little tour. Alright, so come along with me and we'll address that question. This is my son, and as he's been growing up, I've been trying to teach him a little bit about different things different weeds that you can actually eat. And we were going to start at the beginning, at the entrance to the yard, but of course the AC handler kicked on, so it's kind of noisy up there. So we decided we were going to start a little further back. Nicholas, how about coming over here? Alright, so just give us a minute to get into place, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do is just go throughout the yard, and we're going to point out different things that most people consider weeds and are actually quite edible. And some of them you may have a different kind in your area, but I'm going to point out what we have here, and this is my backyard in Central Florida. So here goes. There are a couple things right here, just in this small section alone, and I'm gonna have Nicholas point out what he thinks are the edible ones, and I'm going to tell you if they're correct or not. So what do you think?
So I know this is edible because this is called oxalis.
You can pull one up. You can pull up the leaf as well as the flower so people can see what it looks like.
This is what the leaf part of the oxalis looks like.
And it's called oxalis. Where's the flower?
And this is what the flower looks like.
There we go. And the flower as well as the leaves are quite edible. He is correct. And what we tend to do is to either eat it raw. Can we just clean off the stem? You want to go ahead and snack on one? So show people that it is actually edible. And we actually use it to cook when we're cooking fish, or we just eat it raw or toss it into salads.
And they're a little sour.
Yeah,
that's why my niece likes it.
They're a little tart. Alright, so we don't drag out the video. So you heard about oxalis. What else in this area is edible? You see any? What about right in front of you?
This?
Do you know what that is? You know what it is. You probably don't recognize it without the flowers. It's got these white daisy-like flowers. Spanish needle.
Oh.
Yeah, that is Spanish needle, but it doesn't have the flowers on there. So how about we take everybody over to show them a patch of Spanish needle with the flowers on there. All right, so we came over to an area that has those that weed I showed you, but here it is in bloom, and the flowers are also edible. This is also a medicinal plant. If you know it as Spanish needle, this is what it looks like. This is why it got the name Spanish needle. And let me get these off. These are actually good for if you have any kind of parasites in your body. You just kind of grind them up. You can make it into tea as well. But the leaves are really good as a spinach alternative, and we've done that before. We've cooked these down like spinach, and the flowers are also edible. But to be honest, neither Nicholas or myself like the flowers very much. You don't like them either, do you? I've tried them, and they're kind of bitter. We don't really like the flowers. Now the oxalis flower is quite delicious, the one that we showed you before. Alright, so we're going to move from this spot, and we're going to show you a few other edible weeds, so stay with us. Alright, so here we are in another section. I mean, this is where, let's show you just a quick glance of the backyard. Doesn't look like much right now because of the cold, and it's, we're getting ready to do a lot of cleanup back here, but before we clean up a lot, we wanted to show you what edible weeds we have growing right now. So, what is this one, Nicholas?
This is pepper plant.
He's right when it says it's a pepper plant. The name of it is actually poor man's pepper. Can you tell him a little bit more about it? I might have to talk loud because of the AC.
The poor man's pepper is we use it for like salads. When we want to add a little bit of kick to our salads, we take a couple of these and we throw it into the salad.
Yep. And they're actually, and to show you that they are edible, and we don't have pets or anything around here, so we don't have dog poop or cats, doing any of that stuff, or really wild animals, really. So we're gonna, I'm gonna show you that we actually do eat this. All right, let me get it on both of us. So that they'll.
Let me clean it.
And just really just dust it off. All right, so here it is. We're both gonna have a piece. And this is poor man's pepper plant, and just to give you a little bit of a close-up, they look like little pallets on there, or little bats. All right, hopefully that was clear enough for you to see. All right, so here goes. I think I got like a whole wad. Did it kick yet? It's initially like a little bit sweet, and then this kick comes in with the pepper. Ooh. But it's really good. Like Nicholas said, we put it into salads and that kind of stuff. Stay with us, there's more to come. Let me show you just how much pepper plant we have. We have quite a bit of everything, but pepper plant comes up this time of the year, so we really have a lot. You can also see there's a lot of oxalis also growing, like in there. Now let me show you this one, because we haven't really talked about this. This is another edible weed, and this is called pellitory. I have not tried this one yet, but I have heard that a lot of people tend to be allergic to it. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant. So I want to do it at a time where, and this is actually very similar to something I grew up eating called callaloo. And I'm not allergic to callaloo, so I may not necessarily be allergic to this, but this grows a lot this time of the year. So this is another one of those really good weeds to look out for. So before to I guess test to see if you're allergic is just basically eating a small patch, because the reaction is basically like a kind of a rash. That's what I've been told. So I'm doing a lot more research on this, but this is another edible weed. So let's move ahead, see what else is here. Okay, here's one. Oh, what's this, Nicholas?
This is plantain.
You might have to talk a little bit louder because now we have a plane to compete with. All right, so what's this one called?
This is called plantain.
This is called plantain. He's absolutely correct. This is medicinal as well as edible. I use this to make a salve for whenever we get cuts, and it heals very quickly. And the leaves, the young leaves, can also be used in salads. Let me just pick a leaf so you can see. And when you pull it, you see that those 3 strings. When I pull it off, you see those 3 strings in there. That's common. That's one of the ways of identifying this plant. Another way of identifying it is if you flip it over. Let me clean that off a bit. You notice that the lines do not come out from the center, or the veins. They actually kind of run parallel to each other until they get to the very tip and they kind of meet. Hopefully you can see that. So there you go, much better. So this is also another edible plant and medicinal as well. We actually call this nature's Neosporin. All right, moving along, we have quite a bit of it back here as well, because this again is the time of the year where this shows up, and I'm always really excited whenever I see plantain popping up in the yard. So what else do we have? Stay with us. All right, so here's another view. We were actually on the area right over there where my finger is. Now we walked over to another section, and in this area there are a lot of edible weeds. We keep a lot of the Spanish needle that I showed you with those flowers, those white flowers. We keep them for the bees as well as for the food, but there's a couple others here, and I'm going to show you a much better specimen. But right here, this is called spiderwort, and this is just a young one that's coming up. I'm going to show you a much older version of this with the flowers and everything. But this is spiderwort, and this, I've been told, tastes a lot like asparagus. The flowers are quite delicious because we've already tried the flowers, but we have not tried the leaves or the stalks yet. And those pieces I've heard really taste a lot like asparagus. So I know I'm going to enjoy that because I love asparagus. So let's go a little further back, and I'm going to show you some wild lettuce, or they're related to the lettuce. This plant that you're looking at right here is now about 3 feet tall, and it's really too old to eat. The flowers are again almost like dandelions when they open, but if you look at the leaves, the way that the leaves grasp the stem is very unusual. These are called Sonchus. This is the type of Sonchus, and I believe this type is called Sonchus oleracea, Sonchus oleracea, something to that effect. And this is related to the wild lettuce. Now this one obviously is much too old to eat. You want to catch them when they're young, like that one right there. That's a young one. And of course, here's a flower. This is the flower of the spiderwort that is coming up. That's another spiderwort. So in this area, there's a lot of edible weeds. Here's another one of the Sonchus, and it's just beginning to go into flower, but this is still young enough to be able to eat it. So it is a type, it's related to wild lettuce. And here's another one. We tend to use them very similar to how you use dandelion. Just take them and you just blow them and you make your wishes. I don't have dandelion growing in my yard. I wish I did, because the roots are a good substitute for coffee. Oh, you want to blow? Hold on, don't do it yet. There we go, got it. Alright, so let's continue walking, and I want to show you the spiderwort and the flower. I have a large batch of it in another area. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm taking you to where my granddaughter's secret garden is, but it's not looking like much right now because of the frost. So in this area we have a lot of periwinkles and more Spanish needle, but a lot of it has died out because of the really cold weather. But back here I also have a lot of spiderwort that's coming up, and some of it is in bloom, or actually the flowers are just beginning to open. So I'm going to give you a glimpse into that. So here we are. Here's a patch of the spiderwort plant, and here's the flower. And they're not opened yet. They actually open fairly early in the morning, and the blooms only last a day. And this one is heavily in bloom right now. There's lots of blooms on there, and the flowers tend to appear in clusters, just like they are here. And if you look behind the Nicholas, there's a huge batch right there, and then there's a baby one. There's another baby one coming out right there, and they tend to spread on the ground. So I absolutely love this plant. I loved it before I even found out that it was edible.
There's a tiny worm on this one.
Oh, there is? Make sure we don't eat that one. Yeah. When I was studying to become an herbalist, I found out about so many different edible weeds. So that's how I managed to learn. But I've decided to try to pass on my education onto my son as well, so he knows, you know, whenever he's out hiking or something and he happens to see these things, he'll at least know that they are edible. Here's another batch of spiderwort that's coming out just among these dried Spanish needles. Do you want to, maybe they want to see us eat a flower, so they really... Alright, let's go ahead and, oh, that's the one that has a worm, right? So let's grab, how about we grab this one? This is not,
You get the entire flower?
Well, no, you can have piece and I can have piece. Alright, so here's the flower. What we're going to do is just shake it off to make sure that there are no bugs or anything on there.
Or another worm.
So, and like I said, we don't have, you know, dogs or anything here. Can you pull that one off for me? That one, no, just this piece right here. Oh, here's another thing to tell you. They sometimes use the flowers to make ink, and you can see why, because it's such a pretty color. But they're also quite delicious.
Is the ink edible?
Yeah, the ink is in the flowers. So it's probably kind of sweet, isn't it?
A little bit.
Let me point at you so you'll see.
And you can see where it was.
Yeah, you can actually see. It does stain a little bit if you get it on your clothing, so I'm going to show you. It's edible. And it's kind of sweet. You want some of the flour? Alright, we're here at the section with the Spanish needle, with the ones that have like the white daisy flower. Well, the actual name of this is Bidens pilosa, and you may have another version called Bidens alba. It's a scientific name, but it's actually Spanish needle, and this is all over the Caribbean. And it's used for, like I said, for parasites, worms, that kind of thing. But my son, and like I mentioned before, also the leaves are edible. We use them for like a spinach substitute. So there's a lot of that in here. But my son wanted to give you a little tip as to how to harvest these and where to harvest them from. So Nicholas, take it away.
Okay. So if you see these when you're taking a walk and you're near the road and you see one of these, don't pick it up, because these can absorb toxins from cars that are driving. They give off pollution, and this can absorb it, and then once you eat it, you can get sick, and it can harm you.
So what's the distance that you recommend whenever you want to harvest these? What's the distance from the road?
You want to harvest these if they are 50 or more feet away from the road. And
what other area do you think we shouldn't harvest from? Can you think of one area if they absorb toxins?
Sidewalk.
Well, not necessarily the sidewalk. I'm thinking. Think of a week. I just got rid of trash today. Where does the trash go?
The trash can?
The landfill. Okay, so if another place that you don't want to be harvesting these plants from is anywhere near a landfill, because like Nicholas said, they do absorb toxins. So you want to harvest them in an area that is at least 50 feet away from any major highway. So our
factories, don't get them from factories.
Or anyway, yeah, near factories and that sort of thing. So this area is very inland. It's a good 100, 150 feet away from any road. So we also keep this here because of the bees, and there are not a lot of bees around here right now because it's been really cold. But this area is usually filled with bees. So good job, Nicholas. That was a really good tip, because I even forgot to mention that. And he reminded me, so Mom, we should probably tell them, about this little tip. I said, yeah, you know what? You're right. All right, so you want to go ahead and do the thank you?
Okay.
Say thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching this video. If you like the video, go down and press the like button and press the magic red subscribe button to